So what I was saying was that what you bring to the table is like your man's approach of like an authentic appeal because you love what you do and you don't sugarcoat it, but like you also don't glamorize it. Where something like what we're like the business WNY is in the sports and fitness industry and the sports and fitness industry. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. It's so glamorized, right? Because you see people, they go out, they post their workout videos, routines, this and that, and the problem with it is like they're saying like they're like some modern day gladiator because they're benching 225 with a dark aesthetic filter and like they're killers, right? But really, as a man or an athlete, they're just doing what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to go to the gym every day or do some type of exercise, do something healthy, right? And you're not a gladiator. You're not a modern day Viking. You are in a state of the art 21st century air conditioned gym with, top of the line equipment. You have everything at your disposal. Where like when I look at you, I think, and I don't want to say like that farm strength, you'd make nothing out of, you make something out of nothing type thing, but like it's not all like glam appeal. Like the only post I've seen from you from like the gym, besides what I have up on WNY, is the good noodle stickers on your shoe.
Absolutely.
Because you've rewarded, that was your reward to go into the gym, which I love, and that's why I wanted to have you on here.
It's funny that you said that too, because the only reason why I started doing that too is I found a sticker on the ground in the gym after I hit a PR, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna just put that on my shoe, and that's my good noodle sticker.
So, dude, I thought that was hilarious.
It's because of that little kid zone that's in the gym that I go to over at Fit for Life. So there's stickers on the floor, and so I was like, oh.
So you're just picking them up for a little pick me up extra boost after your workout, dude. That's hilarious.
It just so happens that it works.
But and what I was saying though about the whole all that shit like that you see on social media all the time and everything compared to what you do. They also, the actual standard of what you usually see people do, it's not anything spectacular. It's like I said, the edits, the music, the filters, the captions, the sell me type things on it, right? What gets it its appeal. But dude, you just did a strength competition, last week?
Yeah, on Thursday.
Yeah. So what actually got you into, not, working out and everything? I wouldn't, classify you as a power lifter or a bodybuilder or anything like that. But what got you into becoming the strong, like, behemoth that you have become?
Well, it all started when I was born. No. No, I mean, I've always been a big kid.
Yeah.
I was plagued with a lot of injuries prior, like in not so much in high school. I mean, a dislocated shoulder in high school, and then college, like other injuries started happening in football and whatnot. And then post-college, I was fine. I got where I am today, and I just started feeling really good. And I was like, all right, cool. I can start putting heavier weight on the bar.
Yeah.
I can start putting more heavy weight on the bar and just keep going. And it was just, I mean, it's the whole, endorphin rush that you do of putting a good noodle sticker on your shoe. Just being like, dude, I lifted 2.5 pounds heavier than I did last week or last month. And I'm like, hey, that's all right. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's try to go for 5 next time. But nothing really got me into it. It was just, I just knew that, hey, everything that I want to be good at, I got to be strong to be good at it, or relatively strong to be good at it. I don't have to, I can't get the 600 up yet still on deadlift, but I know that my 565 is not terrible.
But I talked last time I did the show, I was talking to my buddy Chris, shout out to him. We were talking about stacking wins and things like that. So you talk about like what your PR for deadlift is 600, something like that, right? But you're at 565 right now. Is your next goal 570, 575, 585?
It's honestly at this point it's to hit 565 comfortably again. Because I know that it's one of those, like, I know it's not a one-off type thing if I can get it again.
Yeah.
If I can also, maybe that was just like the perfect circumstance that it hit me at the right time, or maybe it wasn't the perfect circumstance. That's why I only got 565. But I feel like I finally hit what I needed to hit when I kind of do it comfortably.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those like, oh man, hey, a max doesn't count unless you do it for 3 reps. A max is a max. You get the weight moving. You get the weight moving. And the form isn't just absolute dog water, then I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I'm no competition lifter, so I'm not clearly doing it right the way that I'd be graded on. But
so with that, like I like that because a lot of people think that like I don't know, like I was saying with like what you see on social media and things, and I talked about this with Chad Rouse in episode 1. Like if you're going to compare yourself, right? If you're doing deadlifts and you're trying to get to 600, you're not going to compare yourself or look at the feats of somebody like Ronnie Coleman. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? Because it's just going to make you feel bad, right? And then going back to what I was talking about with Chris Massara about stacking wins, I like how you said just a little bit ago about like, hey, you threw on 2.5s on the bar because it's going to make it 5 pounds heavier, right? So like if you go from 565 to 570, that's still an improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then 575, and I think people need that, especially when it comes to the gym. They need that mentality, or they should be at least open to going into that type of mentality, because so many people, right? You hear the big numbers.
Yeah.
You bench press 185 for the first time, right? Cool.
Huge.
And then all of a sudden your goal is 225.
Of course.
But it's a big jump.
Massive.
It's a big jump. And then after 225, you might settle for 275, or you're going to think like, well, I got 225, but now I got to go to 315. Like why is that your goal?
It's the heaviest, most commercial gym. That 45-pound plate is the heaviest plate in the gym.
Yeah.
So why not just and it looks good. It's aesthetically pleasing. But
yeah, exactly.
But you see, go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
No. I was saying, but like it's. I think it's bullshit that like people like think that like just because that's the gym aura of, like you just said, it's aesthetically pleasing. Like, oh well, you got 245s on each side. Like the next goal is to have
345s
exactly on each side. But like it's not realistic. It's not realistic at all.
No. It's you can bring it back to like how a lot of people fail, like New Year's and stuff. How a lot of people fail that first week in the gym.
Yeah.
Like everybody's New Year's resolution is always to be a better person than you were last year, right?
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, in some way, shape, or form, it should be at least.
Yeah.
You'd think. But you always see the people that go into the gym and maybe a month in, because they bought a month membership, they stop. They just stop going.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they're not seeing that massive jump that now, unfortunately, I think to me, the social media and all that fun stuff has shown people being like, hey, you can do this too. If you just follow my 5-week program, you'll go from this to this.
Yeah.
Like that. Like a lot of these people, like, okay, first off, filters. I was like, filters, gear, filters.
Yeah.
One, good genetics on a lot of people. And it's just like a lot of, sometimes surgeries, it's not all there. And then people get super discouraged by, well, I didn't jump from 185 to 225 in my first month at the gym. Like, what, am I doing something wrong? Well, I just should just stop.
Yeah.
When it's like you're saying, it's like that 185 to 225. That's a big jump. 225 to 315. That's a huge jump. Like that's enormous. That's massive. We got 90 pounds. Like it's just that's a lot. And people just aren't realizing. Like, I'm a big proponent of small victories, little wins.
Yeah.
And you're saying the stacking wins type thing. It doesn't always have to be a big one. That 2.5. I mean, it's just the little wins. Yeah. I mean, so why do you make your bed in the morning? Well, if you do. I was like, because it feels good. Like before I go on a trip or something, before I leave the house, I like to have my bed made, because when I come back, I see it and I go, oh, that looks good. Yeah. Little win. Yeah. Could have a shit day. Yeah. Come back, bed's made. I'm like, nah, it's good. It's a little win.
It is, and that's in the Hero Code by Admiral. What's the? You know what I'm talking about? The Navy Admiral, and he says about making your bed and everything.
Yeah.
Like it's in the Hero Code. I have the book right over there. I can't think of his name. Admiral William. I don't know, it'll come to me. But anyway, I 100% agree with you on that. And I think it's such an important thing. And I like how this has become a theme, talking from, our past two guests to you about stacking these wins and everything. And with something like making your bed in the morning, right? It seems like a chore, right? Yeah. But it's beneficial because, like you said, you get to come home to a nice made bed. But it's also a little win. You accomplish a task, right? Yep. And just like in the book by McRaven, that's his name.
Yeah, and he says it's the first task that you you finish something. The first thing in the morning. Yeah.
So, and what I can relate to that is every night I journal and stretch, and sometimes I'm like dog shit tired, and I just don't feel like stretching. Because I make myself stretch for like 30 minutes. I do it because I know it's good for me. I know I need to do it. And after a day of multiple workouts, in our line of work, in the military and stuff, like beating up your bodies all the time. But it doesn't matter how late it is. I make myself stretch for 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Why? Because it's good for me. It makes me feel good. And it's also in the reverse, aspect, or not the reverse, but on the other end, I'm ending my day with a task.
Yeah.
With a very beneficial, soothing task. I'll put on a podcast, a movie, just listen to music, talk to my girlfriend, get attacked by my dog while I'm trying to do, touch my toes. But I'm ending the day with a little win because I completed a task, right? And it's just creating habit, right? Because your habits are going to become your nature. And if you don't put yourself in good habits, then you're never going to succeed in whatever it is, life or the gym, right? Like if you don't have a habit of, warming up before you do a set in the gym, right? You're going to hit it cold. I don't know about you, but like I make it a habit. Like if I go to my chest day, upper body push day, whatever it may be, whatever type of like, if I'm just lifting, strictly, if I'm doing like a circuit for like upper body push, I make it an effort to warm up, but I also always do like 4 sets of 20, 25 push-ups.
Okay.
And the reason I do that is this, right? You want to warm up your muscles.
Yep.
What's the first thing most people do when they go to the gym to do chest day?
They put 135 on. If that's a reasonable number for you, they put on a weight that they like and they just start fucking doing bench.
Exactly. So exactly, bench, right? Yeah. 135, that could warm me up and whatever. That's fine, right? But like for me, if I'm trying to kill it on bench, I want my muscles loosened up, warm. Like I want to be like
chest,
active.
Back.
Like I want like extra blood flow already going through my chest before I hit that.
Yeah.
And I've proven it to myself. And now I'm not saying this is going to work for every single person out there, but I've just found through my experience for me, if I do that before I go hit bench, I will have an impressively better like bench time. More reps at like a weight that, say like if I did 245 for 10, last week, but this week I got it for 12, it's because like I'm warming myself up compared to if I don't warm up at all, and I'm that guy who does like, I do 135 for a few reps. All right, cool, and then throw the 25s on.
You don't want to ruin the like. You don't want to ruin the what you have in the tank.
Yeah, but like, but the tank hasn't even started. There's nothing going there. That's just how it is for me. And like I compare that to a lot of other things too. Like if I'm gonna be working on a project, right, or like saying something like a college student, you're gonna do like a homework assignment or like a project, right? Yeah. And you don't do your research. You don't like get your brain rolling or things like that. How the hell are you gonna expect yourself to succeed?
Yeah. It's the you get out of it what you put into it, and that I feel like that's also just a very simple, like, and it's kind of a blanket statement that parents worldwide kind of say, but it's one of those that kind of sticks with you because as you get older, you find out that it's actually true. You don't ever want to believe that mom and dad were right until you get to the age where you realize and you go, oh, damn. Mom and dad were right. I was like, yeah, so I should have put a little bit more effort into that. Yeah. I should have done the research to do this because then what I produced would not have been just garbage. Yeah. And whether that be a project, a school, a lift, anything, just anything in life at that point.
And I think it's also important to note too that doing proper research in anything and proper preparation in a physical and mental aspect, not only is it going to help you perform better and get better results, but it's also gonna, like I was saying, it's gonna teach you like what not to do, what failure is gonna look like, right? Like, if you're gonna run, if you're gonna do a heavy leg day, but you're expecting to hit a 5 mile or 2 mile PR the next day, you're probably not gonna hit it.
No.
Right? So you have to be flexible. Yeah. Like, and I think people, what the problem is, most people in the gym or in life, it's like I was saying with the, comparisons and things like that. You're never going to amount or have the courage to even try to amount to what you want to be if you're comparing yourself to these ridiculous standards and these ridiculous goals. And if you don't actually do the work and say, be all in on like, hey, I want to be like a master at, fitness. I want to be the best possible electrician out there. I want to be like the best writer out there. If you're not, going all in on that, doing the research, practicing the healthy habits for it, you're never going to succeed.
Yeah. Just to like piggyback a little bit too, because I agree and disagree at the same time. Like, yeah, the unrealistic expectations. Now that obviously that's in the title or in the phrase unrealistic expectation. But like seeing something like that you might think at the time, oh, that's unrealistic, which is kind of just brings it to the whole why not you part of this, of just what we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's like you look at it and go, let's say it's actually someone who's done something, good with their life. It's not the lighting, it's not the gear, it's not but they've built something from the ground up, right? And you go, well, they're successful and they're billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Well, why not? Like at that point, legitimately, why not you? Like, why couldn't you do that? Now, I'm not saying that like, I would be able to do that if I had $1 million investment, like that maybe someone helped them out with. But think something smaller, right? Like, man, I want to look like that. I was like, well, you can.
Yeah.
Technically, I mean, you actually can. I was like, but it's not so much that I'm trying to word it better. Not so much that you want to look like that, you want to do that. It's a goal. Yeah. You do have a goal, and it's okay to have a goal that at the time might seem unrealistic,
out of this world,
and I'd like that.
Yeah,
but like I like that because I mean, again, we said we weren't going to try to talk too much about this, but whenever I joined the military, I wanted to do the special forces thing. Yeah. And you're stopped immediately by what selection is. You're like, man, that's extremely daunting. Like, that is going to be legitimately, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. But before then, I finally nutted up one time, and I was like, because I had an injury, and I was just really worried that my injury was going to keep going and persisting. Yeah. It felt really good for a little bit, like a couple months, and I was like, all right, you know what? Mm-hmm. I said, fuck it, let's go. And I said, I'm watching other people walk down, the street with that green hat on and other things like that. And I go, I mean, he did it. Yeah. This isn't impossible. Yeah. That's why I was, long story short on a little tangent, but that's why I was saying, it's like, I agree and I don't agree at the same time. Mm-hmm. Unobtainable, I agree with. That's, don't stake your successes on someone else's as well, or don't compare. Yeah. I'm absolutely 100% with that. Mm-hmm. But do it. It's super, super cheesy of like the posters on the wall back in school. Shoot for the stars, or shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you end up in the stars. Yeah. Why not? I mean,
I 100% agree with you. I think like you said it right. You can't, like you were saying earlier about like if you're say your goal in the gym, right, bench press 185. Yep. And you want to get to 225 in the first month, it's ridiculous, right? Yeah. If you're somebody like a bodybuilder and you want to look like Jay Cutler within a year, it's never going to happen. I mean, I was just talking to my buddy Chris last week. He was talking about it. You can hear it in episode 2. He was saying how it took years, like 10 plus years to build that type of physique, that he could even like attempt to go on pro stages and things like that, right? What you're saying, I 100% agree with, because it's good to have idols, right? Because idols, especially when you're younger, it influences you, right? Yeah. And for the military, right? Like you're saying how, you just decided to send it, right? And you see all these other guys with these funny little green hats, and, you're asking yourself, hey, why not me? Why can't I do that, right? Yep. I think something that a lot of people don't talk about, especially in the workplace and like in the military, because it becomes more cringy, corny, cheesy, and like the different type of cultures you find in military service, especially active duty and especially combat arms. Yeah. Right. And where I'm going at is from my own personal experience, because I wanted the same thing like you did, right? I wanted to be, special forces, right? That was if I was going to do this, I wanted to go to the very top, right? And I love the concept of the job and what it entailed. And before that, when I ran Mad Athletics and I was, amateur, young, 18 to 20-year-old fitness influencer and barely a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, what gave me my, and working full time, what gave me my discipline and the kind of like the growth mindset was watching guys and wanting to emulate and be like guys like a Jocko Willink, a David Goggins, a Tim Kennedy. Because I'm looking at it, right, and I don't know any better. I don't have any military experience. I barely know anybody from the military. But I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, man, this is badass. It's cool. Like, this dude fought in the UFC, and now he's still like going overseas and shit, and like it's freaking cool. And look at this guy. He's got like all this like real hardcore podcast, big bald dude, and he's waking up at 4:30 in the morning. He's like 48 years old, and he's like shoulder pressing like 275 at 5 a.m. And this guy, David Goggins, like, oh, what the fuck is this dude? Like, this is like, an inhuman cyborg type deal. Yeah. And it was cool, man. Like I mean, Jesus, when I was a college dropout, when I went to college, I wanted to do ROTC, and I remember Jocko Willink got a Q&A on his Twitter feed, and I asked him, and I remember I asked him, I was like 17 at the time, and I asked him like, what's some advice for a young ROTC cadet going to college, and he was like, train hard, stay focused. Like that was it. And like very simplistic, like, well, no shit. Well, but I thought it was cool as fuck. Yeah. And I was like, and in 2019, I got to meet David Goggins because I have right over there next to my Willie McRaven book. I got Can't Hurt Me. It's in there somewhere, and I got it. It's actually signed by Goggins.
Nice.
There was a girl I was dating at the time. Her dad was a principal at the school, and he was doing a Q&A in Allentown, Pennsylvania, for his book. So I got to go there. We got to ask questions, got a picture with him, got to talk to him and everything. And like he was a genuine dude. You could definitely tell he's a little crazy, right? And I think he gets a bad rep in the military field because he wasn't in part of a lot of combat operations. Still, he's got some crazy accolades that most dudes in the military who would criticize him wouldn't be able to do. They're not, most guys aren't going to pass buds, let alone pass Ranger school, at least in the Army. So, but still, it was like badass, right? And I remember, like, when I was running my own little fitness page in Mad, I was posting pictures of my watch at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, because that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
I used to stay over at buddy's house, ex-girlfriend's house, whatever, and I had to go to work. I had to be at work at 6 a.m. And I don't know about you, but me personally, I hate working out. Like, if it's past like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like dragging myself to the gym because I don't like crowded gyms or things like that. Like it's just not for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I decided because like I knew I'd be working. So I worked for my old man. I was doing masonry, and I was like, I knew I'd be working till 4 or 5, 6 o'clock at night, and I was just like, man, going to the gym after that and having to wake up early.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I watch all these other guys like Jocko Willink, wake up. So that's what I started doing. But I was like, but I got to commute, to the gym and then drive to my dad's shop. So I just started waking up at 3:30. Drive a half hour to the gym. Gym opens up at 4. I get there right on the dot, and I work out for an hour and a half because my dad's shop is only like 10 minutes from the gym.
There you go.
And dude, I did that 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Which I think was when we talk about building healthy habits and things like that, you come to the military and, especially being in a junior leadership position, you got guys who they're just dragging. They hate working out in the morning. They hate doing they can barely show up on time.
They hate waking up.
And they hate waking up. Yeah. And I've always, when I was at their level, when I was just a junior enlisted guy, I found it's like just so like mind-boggling that was like such a problem for like my peers at the time.
Yeah.
And then and that's being a junior leader now, I find it so mind-boggling that
it's still a problem.
That it's still a problem. But then I kind of reflect and I realize I'm like, oh wait, I've been doing this for 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
I've been in this habit of like, all right, I'm up. It's bright and early. Nobody else is up. I need to go work out right now. Like that's what it is. Which is why I don't have a problem with it. But anyway, after that long tangent, to circle back to what you were saying, right? I think it's great to have guys that you
look up to.
You look up to your heroes, right?
I think that's exactly 100% what it is.
It sounds corny, right? It's like to shoot for the stars and win, but like it's okay to have your heroes, right? Yeah. And even if they're not like the most badass dude, but like say like you're just going to the gym and you want a fucking rocking physique, and you look at somebody like Dwayne Johnson, you're like, this guy's jacked. I want to be just like this. Is my hero. Look at him lifting. He's got this brand and these cool clothes and like. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Other people, they might make fun of you or like, oh, dude, that's corny, that's whack or whatever. Fuck it, dude. Who cares?
People, to just bring that into perspective, blew my mind whenever the shift changed from it was cool to have a passion to, you're passionate about something? That's lame. That's dumb. That's stupid. I was like,
I never got that.
Why?
Why is that?
When did that happen?
Why do you think that is?
It shifted just immediately. And I think to myself that those are the people that just they're closed-minded. I was like, one, you're extremely closed-minded. Two, you just are just a negative person in general at that aspect of thing. But not to detract from the conversation we were saying, but it's all bringing to the same part. We have unrealistic goals and then, or unrealistic goals, quote unquote. And, unrealistic idols and unrealistic heroes. I feel like this is just a big, like, hey, there's unrealistic and then there's, like, things you're passionate about.
Yeah.
why did it, like, when did it shift? And like, why is it not cool to be passionate about something? Like, man, this thing makes me happy. It doesn't make everybody else happy. Why is it not cool that I have to do this? Now, I get it if it's something that's like, I love tax fraud, but if it's something
you might want to find a new passion. Unfortunately,
yes. If it's something that's like detrimental to society, I guess, then that's probably not okay to be passionate about.
Yeah,
but
I think, but what you're saying there about like people, they're negative, they're closed-minded or whatever.
It makes it hard for people to want to be passionate about things.
Well, especially if you surround yourself with those type of people, right?
Yeah.
If you surround yourself with those type of people, then
sometimes you don't have a choice.
You don't.
Like my high school, I had 5,000 kids in my high school.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a melting pot of, people. I graduated with like 850 people.
Yeah.
My 10-year reunion's coming up. I know that was weird. But dude, and then I went to a college of 1,500 people.
Yeah.
And I was around like-minded people at that 1,500, person college.
Yeah.
But you're surrounded by just, you're going to, it's a cheesy line. You're going to have haters. Everybody's going to be upset with you for wanting to do something.
Well, I mean, you can compare that to yours and mine, like military experience, right? When you're at the JFK Special Warfare Center, you're around like-minded people because you all have the same exact goal.
Yeah.
Where if you go to a bigger unit, right, and that could be anywhere, it could be 10th Mountain Division, 82nd Airborne Division, whatever, right? You can get a whole boatload of different types of people. Guys who came from something like attempting to become a Green Beret or a Ranger. Mm-hmm. Or you get dudes who, for some reason, they just wanted to do the military for college, but they also wanted to shoot guns and didn't weigh in the aspect of, hey, there's a lot more to the infantry, at least, than shooting guns.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they find themselves in a fucking hellhole whirlpool that they're not cut out for. And for some reason, too, they thought it'd be cool to go skydiving and jump out of planes and realize that's not actually what it is at all. It's not the same, right? My point being, right, whether if it's school, your hometown, or, college, if you're around like-minded people, it's so much easier to buy into what you're doing and like to reassure yourself like, hey, I'm doing the right thing. When you're around, whether if it's an abundance of people or even if it is a small amount of people, but like it's
influential people, influential to your life, not like as in influential to society, but influential to your life.
Well, that could be family too.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean.
You could be so set in on something, but like your family could look at you and be like, "What are you nuts? You fucking crazy?
You can't do that.
Like, you can't do that."
Well, my family would never let me do that, and so you would never do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Right?
I get it.
And you limit yourself. People put barriers on themselves, man. And we're going back to what like. That's those type of people who like, if you got like some hero, you got some like crazy unrealistic dream, but you ask yourself, hey, why can't I do that? Well, why not me, right? Yeah. The reason those people are the way they are, to me, this is my opinion, right? Yes, they're closed-minded, they're just negative, they're sour, right? And the reason that they're like that is because they're unhappy with themselves and they're unhappy with where they're at in life and what they're doing or what they're going towards, because what they might be working towards might not be what they really want, but they just realize, hey, it's easy, I'm good at it, or like it pays, or makes a lot of money.
Bread on the table.
Exactly,
it's
right. Yeah. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but regardless, and this might sound like the corniest line I could probably ever drop, but the question, why not you?
Yeah.
Those types of people, they probably didn't ask themselves that question, or even if they did, they probably didn't have any follow through.
Yeah.
What I was saying earlier, like be all in. They might have been like, you might be like I don't know, say some fucking like secretary in some office building, but you wanted to be a fucking civil engineer, but you just you're like, that's a lot of work, man. I don't really think I want to do that. Like that's a lot for me.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at all those other people, like, man, they got all these degrees, they did all these like co-op programs and things like that. Like, I don't think I'm capable of doing that, so like I'm gonna settle, right?
Yeah.
I think the worst thing you can do in life is just settle, because right there you just start chopping away at yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's again, you're only given one.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent too of leap of faith type things.
Yeah.
Now I'm also, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm over here like doing everything, trying everything new, doing, like I am a creature of habit. I'm 28 years old. I have a ton of them. There's a lot of things I really like to do. Like, man, hey, let's go out to the club. Absolutely not. I'd rather a seedy dive bar that I can play pool and listen to Creed or something, but like.
Amen, man. Drifters is right down the street.
Yeah, I love that.
Go right after this.
But it's funny because other Smith was talking to me about what I did about in college. He's like, well, hey, can I see your football stats? I'm like, so I tried to go look them up. I've been out of college for a while, so I couldn't find them. Also, the fun thing is I didn't play much. Like, well, I played.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Texas Lutheran University. So it's a little D3 college out in Seguin, Texas.
Okay.
It's in between San Antonio and Houston.
Okay.
So just to get a little pinpoint on the map. It was fun. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
What position did you play?
Defensive line. So I was nose and tackle. It all switched around.
That adds up.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I was almost 300 pounds when I played.
God damn, dude. What do you weigh right now?
I'm 260 right now.
Shit. That's big. I mean, being 260 already is big. But obviously, you're a tall dude and you're in great shape. But 300, that's fucking.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what my 40 time was, but my 5:10.5 time was fucking phenomenal. That was great. And I'll run you down in those 10 yards. But man, if you're faster than me on the 40, I was like, well.
Are you you're from Texas? Mm-hmm. Are you a Dallas fan?
No. Okay. I'm a Houston Texans fan.
Okay, thank God.
So. Hey, tomorrow, baby.
Thank God. Yeah, tomorrow. That's a good talking point right there.
You know the fun fact too, though.
Yeah.
So before I lived in Houston, I lived in Corpus Christi. We don't have a football team in Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, as a kid, I was like, I'll just go for a team that's green. It's my favorite color. And so the Green Bay Packers are my favorite team. As I got older, I just realized they were actually really good.
Yeah.
Favre became the favorite player.
Yeah.
And then Matthews became my favorite player.
Yeah.
I have his Super Bowl jersey, actually.
Really?
One of them, yeah.
Nice.
One of the many that were produced. It's not the one he had on his back type of thing. But I'll give you an idea of how old it is. It's a Reebok jersey.
Dude, yeah.
But, then I moved to Houston. I was like, well, I got a team that I can root for that's my home team. So I started going. And then J.J. Watt started going to.
Well, of course, yeah.
He is absolute favorite player of all time.
Yeah.
That's
a fair favorite player.
One of my favorite players and almost like favorite person that I've ever.
He's a great dude.
I'm like, that's it. Okay, cool. There you go.
Yeah.
That chalk it up to. Yeah. We got like Jesus, Batman, and then J.J. Watt. It's like.
Yeah. I mean, was there a lot of when you were growing up? Was it mostly Houston fans or was it Dallas?
Dude, they hate Houston for whatever because Houston sucked. I mean, and I'll be honest with you. We're still not a great team. The fact that we're in the playoffs right now, I'm like, okay, cool.
They're looking up. D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud.
It's looking good.
It's looking good. It's looking better than it has the past few years.
I figured 2 years ago, this is what I said. I said 2 years ago, we are in a 5-year build. That's what we're in right now.
Yeah.
And it'll hopefully turn around. JJ left, and for whatever reasons, we got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. I was like, what are we doing?
He's aging better than because he came up with guys like Antonio Brown and Julio Jones, and he's not aging well. He's aging. Yes. He's aging well. Where obviously Antonio Brown did not age well, and that's got to get into that. That's the content is there for it's clearly, and Julio Jones, he didn't have much success with Tennessee. Didn't have much success with Tampa Bay. Obviously no success with the Eagles. But DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, he went to Arizona. He did good there. He was the Titans' leading receiver this year. So yeah, I can understand your pain.
And then I knew it was going downhill when we got rid of Andre Johnson for the first time. I was like, what are we doing? What is happening?
Yeah. The Texans have had some studs,
with some really good players,
some really good players. I mean, dude. So I grew up, my entire life. I grew up a little bit more than an hour north of Philadelphia. Right. Yeah. I'm not an Eagles fan. That is the old lady. That's the old lady. The pillow over there. That's the old lady. She put those up. But I'm a Giants fan.
For the record, I'm looking at a Fly Eagles newspaper clipping and a. Fly, Eagles, fly, pillow on his couch.
I'm going to actually have her on the show. We're going to talk about why there's Eagle stuff in my home, but I'm apparently not allowed to have my Giants stuff up in my own home.
My girlfriend's a Giants fan. You'd get along with her.
Hey, that's great. Shouldn't have her on the show. But, dude, so anyway, I know understand your pain about getting rid of good players because at the time, dial back 7 or 8 years ago, right? Giants get rid of Odell. He was cancer at the time, big hothead and everything, but It seems like the Giants since then have just been trying to replace him, and they haven't gotten close.
You can't, yeah.
You know, yes, he was a cancer, and maybe for Odell in his life, he had to go through this trial and tribulation and these setbacks to become the more mature player he is now. Mm-hmm. He just had a kid about a little bit over a year ago, and he's almost 8, 9, almost 10 years now in the league, so he's a seasoned veteran, right? But he's not going to be your 1,000-yard guy, but he's done very well.
He's a weapon.
He's a weapon. He's done very well for the Ravens. Yep. You best believe against your Houston Texans tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow, right? Yeah.
4:30.
4:30. You're going to see Odell get some catches. You might see Odell in the end zone. Like, he sneaks his way in, and I know that for a fact because he did that just, 2 years ago now when he was on the Rams. I mean, Jesus, the first, 10 minutes of the Rams and Bengals Super Bowl, it was all Odell, touchdown, everything, and then he blew his knee out.
Yeah.
Great, good for him for still getting a ring and being part of that organization. But, dude, I mean, the Giants have been there too, man. I mean, last year the Giants they looked good, but then this year it was like,
I'm scared, dude.
It wasn't the worst, but it was bad.
The last game for the Giants was really good, though.
That was our Super Bowl.
That was your Super Bowl. I was also surrounded by Eagles fans that day, and my girlfriend was with me, so I had to go for the Giants that day.
Dude.
I'm an Eagles fan by proxy because I hang out with a lot of Eagles fans, and they never play my teams.
Yeah.
Unless, and then when they do, my jerseys come out. So don't worry.
It's funny, man. People always give me shit because they're like, "Oh, you're from outside of Philadelphia and you're a Giants fan. Like, how the hell does that happen?" Especially with the Eagles fan base and how boisterous they are.
Aggressive.
Aggressive.
Car salesman.
Yeah. Angry car salesman. Shady car salesman. But anyway, my dad though, and this I think is reasonable, right? Because people don't realize 2004 and then onward, Eagles were a way more relevant organization, way more successful, right? From the Andy Reid days to the Mike Vick days to Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz to now Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. Before that, Eagles were dog shit, dude. They were. No, they were. They were. They went. I think it was 1980. They played the Raiders in the Super Bowl and lost. That was it. That was one of their only very, very few playoff appearances. To the Raiders. The Raiders back then, they had it going on.
The Raiders back then were scary. Though.
Yeah, that's John Madden. Everything.
Different kind of game.
Yeah, they were looking. Yeah, it was a very different type of game, right? And with being a different type of game back then, right? Eagles didn't have any dogs. Mm-hmm. They had Reggie White, which all-time great, right? But that was it.
One.
Yeah, one. Randall Cunningham. Okay, might have been a better Viking than he was an Eagle, but. My dad, though, growing up, right? There's reason from the 80s and 90s why you see so many just random Niners and Dolphins and Cowboys fans because they were the team.
They're good.
They were great. They had all-time greats.
Yeah.
Like Emmitt Smith, Dan Marino, Jerry Rice. People love watching that, right? But my dad fell in love with what became the first scary defense. How in football, defenses have that appeal and that aura being scary and mean and dangerous, right? Well, it all started with Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, dude.
Lawrence Taylor. Now, Lawrence Taylor isn't your angel role model like a J.J. Watt.
No.
But he's just as, if not more, physically imposing and dangerous and effective on a football field than you've seen of any other defender in the history of professional football.
Oh, yeah.
So my dad fell in love with that. And the Giants were good back then, too. They won 2 Super Bowls. They added one of the Bills' 4 straight losses back in the 80s into the 90s. And he was sold ever since. And then when I was a kid, I was an Eagles fan from age of 4 to maybe 7. And yeah, you could say I bandwagon, but Eagles, they didn't do much for me. I just liked them because all my friends liked them and everything. But my dad's always hey, watch Giants. And then obviously my memory of a real football game I can remember as a child, right, that I really paid attention to and I was in awe about was the first Giants and Patriots Super Bowl.
Beautiful.
Because it's one of the most triumphant, significant, craziest wins.
Was that the
helmet catch, the undefeated Patriot season?
Fun fact, one of my coaches in high school, Coach Shanley.
Really?
He has a brother that's still in the NFL. He was on the Giants team.
Really?
He was a corner.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I got to wear his Super Bowl ring. Dude, it doesn't fit me because he's smaller than I am, but it fit on my pinky. But that was the biggest ring, other than the championship college ones I have. So the biggest ring I've ever had.
The only thing I have from that season back in my home in Pennsylvania is the Giants receivers that year. That Monty Toomer, Plaxico Burress, and then I had Steve Smith, not Steve Smith Sr. There was another Steve Smith receiver, who's number 12. He played for the Giants. My dad's got a sign. My dad's name is Steve Smith.
So that's beautiful.
He's got a signed pair of cleats from that season right up there in our basement. But yeah, dude, watching that game, it was the craziest thing ever. And then to go and find out, if you watch that, remember those old documentaries about like a football. It wasn't a football life about a player, but it was like whatever team won the Super Bowl that year. They like took film from the season and like recorded their playoff things or whatever, and it was like Champions of the World. So it was called something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you watch that one of that season, and I remember watching this like 2 years after the Giants won that Super Bowl, David Tyree, the one who made the significant helmet catch, he had the worst practice of his life, week of practice of his life leading up to the Super Bowl, that they almost benched him for the game. Like Tom Coughlin being a hard-nosed military family, everybody knows who Tom Coughlin was. He was about to be like, dude, you're not setting foot on this field. You're fucking awful. Yeah. Like, you're gonna screw this up. Why would we put you out there? But they still did. Yeah. And thank God.
That game's great, dude. I wasn't even a Giants fan just to be a Giants fan.
Yeah. It was the underdog. It's the underdog story.
Absolutely. If I don't have a dog in the fight for whatever the Super Bowl is going to be, I'm going to go for the one that's not I'm going to go for the underdog. It's more fun that way.
No, exactly.
An upset is so much better than an obvious, like, oh, they're supposed to win. I'm like, man.
And that was the upset. That was the first, like, fully undefeated. But that team was the first fully undefeated team since the undefeated Dolphins back in, like, what, 76, 77?
Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins, And then, anyway, fast forward the tape 4 years later, the Giants do the same exact thing again.
Yeah.
With another ridiculous sideline catch by Mario Manningham with a football thrown to him that could not have been more perfectly placed by Eli Manning. I mean, I watched a video of other all-time great quarterbacks saying that that throw, that was a 1% chance of that being a completion, and it was only if that ball was put in the right spot, and he put it in the right spot. So, but
that's what my mom would always say. She'd say any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. Yeah, my girlfriend says that all the time.
I love that saying.
And she was riding hard with the Eagles this year.
And
then you had 6 any given Sundays in a row where all of a sudden that 10-1 team started falling apart.
That was not a good look.
Dude, the playoffs are going to be fun this weekend, though, man.
I'm hoping, man.
It's a weird dynamic. Would not expect the Texans to be in that position, if I'm being honest. But like I said, D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud, they got something special working on there with a young team.
Yeah. And last time they were in the playoffs, they played the Ravens.
Yeah.
They lost, and the Ravens won that Super Bowl. It was Ray Lewis's last Super Bowl.
And that was also against the Niners, which are the favorites of the Super Bowl this year are the Ravens and Niners.
Yeah.
History repeats itself, man. It's weird.
It
this Ravens team's good.
I'm hoping it switches, man. I'm praying it switches.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I'm personally I don't have any super strong connection to the Texans in any way, but it'd be cool to see a young team, upset and everything and take it. But dude, right now I got to ride with the Lions, man. It's fun.
I want the Lions to win their games.
Yeah, dude. It's if there's no team that's gonna, if the Giants aren't in, obviously, and the Eagles and Dallas lost, so thank God for that. And that was great watching that. I told my buddies who are Dallas fans and Eagles fans, I said, wow, I was like, you guys talked all that shit to me all year long just to play one more week than the Giants did.
It's 13. Just to bring it to the Cowboys aspect thing, Cowboys, they do have a good team. They just choked.
Oh yeah, obviously
they've always had a good. For 13 years, they've gone to the playoffs in a row. 13 in a row, they've gone to the playoffs.
Not
fizzles out.
It's insane.
They've never made it to the division championship.
Insane. It's nuts. How can you be that good? And before, there were some close calls. There's the catch. The
Dez caught it. And here's the thing. I'm a Green Bay fan. Dez caught it.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
Well, now that the rules have changed since then, which is crazy that they said it's not a catch. Next year they changed the rules. All of a sudden, that's a catch now. And you're just
that's too late. A little
too late for that, right? But man, dude, against the Packers this past weekend, Holy shit.
Blew apart.
I was not Jordan Love, man. I guess the Packers have found some niche of like take your awesome stud quarterback, keep riding them, put in another guy underneath them, give him a few years, start that guy. Rinse and repeat when you find the right guy.
That's what you should be doing anyway?
Well, you know what's funny on the Let's Go podcast with Tom Brady, he was talking about that and saying like, and this is another thing, like we can dial it back to the life and fitness and everything, and there's nothing wrong with taking a back seat to learn.
No,
and then you get your shot.
Yeah,
right.
That's
because what do people want nowadays? Instant gratification, instant satisfaction. Instant results. And sometimes you can't expect that, man. How many first overall draft picks, number one QB going in the draft has actually panned out to be the fucking man?
Yeah.
Jared Goff is starting to. Before that, Andrew Luck, he was what, number 1 or 2? And Peyton Manning's probably the biggest one that ever panned out to be like a GOAT tier, athlete. But you can put it in any sport, right? And anything in life too.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole reason why, in business, right? You work your way up. You learn from each level and work your way up. In a trade, right? You're an apprentice.
Yeah.
And you learn, and then you're a journeyman. Then you start working your way up. Then you become the foreman, right? In the military, you're a lower enlisted, grunt. And then you learn. And you hone skills. You pick and pull from your leaders and what you're influenced by. You develop your own style. You adapt to what's taught to you. You buy into it, and then you become that leader.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with taking the back seat to somebody for a few years. And obviously, like we were just talking about, the Packers they might be
Rodgers,
and
Love.
I mean, I don't want to say Love is going to be that guy yet, but hey, his first year as a starter,
he's starting well.
He's in the divisional round. He put up 49 points. Well, they had a pick 6 or 2, but
who's counting?
Regardless, he scored over 30 points over a very, very, very good Dallas defense.
Yeah,
and he made some ridiculous back foot throws for 30 plus yards cross body. He's an athlete. So I don't think there's anything wrong with develop. There's nothing wrong in professional sports. So have a guy that just needs time to develop.
So to bring it all the way back to kind of why I was talking about the college thing. I was bringing it to first sergeant. For whatever reason, things are now coming back that our motto for football and at TLU was it was all in. And
really?
you said it a bunch of times already. I know we haven't talked about this before. You said it a bunch of times already. First sergeant said it today. But it was always the sign that we'd hit before we walked out to go to practice. It said all in. I have shirts that say it that's what it was. But to bring it back again to taking a back seat and stuff. We also had a saying. There's a poem that goes, and I could do the whole thing, but the first part is is I'm only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something.
Yeah.
And then it goes on further and further. But those two lines, I've always stuck with me on the whole.
Yeah.
It's fine, dude. Hey, take a back seat. It's not your 15 minutes of fame yet.
No.
Learn because when it is your time, you're not going with the knowledge that you just had before it was your time. And like you said, they're not ready for me yet, but they're going to get me as I am now.
Yeah.
That's pointless.
That's a process.
They're going to get me as I am now after learning everything from when I wanted to be there to when I finally got there.
Exactly. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I really like that. And because I think though not the problem with that, 'cause like I said, I agree. But I think the problem with that with a lot of people is that, again, the instant satisfaction.
They want it immediately.
And that's from our community, our consumerism ideology and everything that we want it now. We want it now. Exactly. Look at your phone, right? You can get anything at the snap of a finger, right?
Amazon Prime.
Ships
in 2 days.
WNY Athletics. You just go on. Exactly. My point though is that, right? The problem is if you have a fixed mindset, right? What you're saying is it's a perfect ideology to hey, I'm here. I know where I want to be. I'm not quite there yet, but I have a lot of resources, a lot of influential, positive people, like-minded thinking people that are going to teach me. They're going to be hard on me. It's sometimes, some days it's going to seem unfair. Some days it's going to appeal as a fruitless effort. But if you buy in, if you go all in, right, and you have a growth mindset, you see this, this adversity as a necessity. You see these guys who are doing so much better than you. They're on the pinnacle, right? You don't envy them. You're not jealous. You don't pray for their downfall or whatever. You don't want to just copycat them, right? But it's like I was saying earlier, you want to pick and pull parts of it, right?
What did they do to get there?
Yeah, like what did he do to get to that spot? But this guy's also over here. And he's got some good qualities too. So, like, what does he do? Like, exactly, right? You just pick and pull, and then you morph it in your own way.
Yep.
You need a growth mindset for that, right? I think it's I have that book right over there, the small unit tactics handbook, not the Ranger one, but
that's a good book.
That stuff one. There's a whole chapter on a growth and fixed mindset and the comparison of it. I'm gonna fucking post a diagram of it on WNY's page so people get the idea. But for real, like, it's that having that growth mindset in anything, not just fitness, sports, more military, it's anything in life, right? If you have a fixed mindset, you're going to lose, right? It's setting those boundaries for yourself. When you have a fixed mindset, it's like I said, half hour ago, it's that settling.
Yeah.
You're going to settle.
Yeah.
And you're going to settle because that guy who's above you, right? Say you're on a football team.
Never going to get there.
Exactly. Say you're on a football team, right? And you're the second or third string defensive tackle, right? And that D1 tackle who's starting above you or your buddy or whatever, man, he's gonna go to the fucking NFL combine. This guy, like, he's
good.
That's why he has his spot.
Yeah.
And then if you tell yourself like, oh, fuck that guy, or oh, I'll never be that, like, oh, good for him or whatever, like, I'm just here, like, I made it at least on the team.
Yeah,
bro. If you're gonna have that mindset in life, it's, dude, throw in the towel right now because you're killing yourself.
Yeah. With what you're saying, I'll say like the next part of that poem. Like I'm only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. Something that I can do, I should do, and what I should do, I ought to do. What I ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do.
Yeah.
That's how that whole.
I like that.
It's a fantastic, like, saying. And one of my head coach, Danny Padron, he would always say it. And he would just, every time, he would always say that, just when stuff got hard, he's like, hey, for you young guys, you're not where you want to be. You always have a job, and you can always get better to get to where you want. Like, you always have something that you can do.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in that fixed mindset of being stagnant, being like, well, I'm not where I want to be, so I'm just going to be mopey about it.
Yeah.
So
I think, dude, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, if you're gonna be mopey about something, if you're gonna, like, get there, like, and I think you also have to be realistic, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, like, having these huge goals, these idols. And unreal. You're asking yourself, why not me? Why can't I do that? Blah blah blah. Like, it's good to ask that, but you have to be realistic because guess what? You're a freshman going into a sports team, right? If you're an intern and then you finally get your job or something, if you pass your initial training going into the military branch, and then you show up to your unit, right? If you just expect to be the man just because you were the man or woman or the top dog or the best at what you were doing before, when you dare to level up, guess what? When you level up to the next one, you're at the bottom. It restarts, and that's why. And I've had conversations with you about this before, and my past guests, right? That's why you gotta love the journey. You gotta love the journey because guess what? If you don't, when you have to you get to that next stage, right?
You restart.
You're at the bottom. You restart, and if you hate the journey, man, guess what? It only gets fucking harder. It only gets fucking harder when you move up to that next stage, when you level up, when you promote, when you go from the second string to the first string to the fucking team captain. The work just piles up. And people don't understand that.
It doesn't get easier the higher you go, but it gets more rewarding.
Oh, hell yeah, it does. Yeah. So another thing, though, with like stacking up wins and being a part of something, right? I think a lot of people, they need to act like with loving the journey, right? I think a huge part of it is you need to actually love that, because you might love the idea of something, but the work that goes with it, all of a sudden you're like, okay, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And I think I see that all the time. I see it in the workplace. I've seen it in sports. I've seen it in other career fields that I've been a part of. I saw it in my last sports and fitness promotion. Like, people love the idea of being, a part of something, or like, and all that, or wanting to, hold that rank, hold that title, hold that job. But then, like, they get there and they're kind of like, or they get to the position where they're in the back seat and they realize what it actually takes to be that type of person.
The sacrifices.
The discipline, hey, man, yeah, you're working all day, but guess what? The work doesn't stop when you clock out.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps going. You got to sacrifice, time with family, friends, loved ones.
It's the difference between a job and a profession.
That's exactly what it is, right? And any job can be a profession.
Absolutely.
Really, when you think about it, any job can be a profession. Absolutely. Now, like, something like, and I'm not knocking it, but like, if you're working as a cashier or something like that, right? It's
that's not your end. That's not your end.
But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, right? But also too, growth mentality, right? It's like the guy flipping burgers at McDonald's. If I'm flipping burgers, I'm gonna be the best goddamn burger flipper out there, right? Yep. If I'm bagging groceries, I'm hey, how you doing, ma'am? Guess what? You just put all these through the scanner, boom, just like that. They're in your cart, bagged up, ready to go. Like,
why not be the best you can be at whatever you're doing?
Yeah, you're there.
But don't settle for mediocrity. Well, again, that's another thing too. Don't settle for mediocrity.
No, don't.
I hate that we celebrate mediocrity.
Yeah, I do. Well, okay,
that's a different topic.
That goes on. That goes to what I wanted to say, man. Is like, especially in the military, man, I see so many guys, and a guy I know said this actually today. I think you see so many guys, they go into something like hardcore, dangerous, and and threatening, like military and combat arms, right? And they like the idea of it. They like the idea of what I was saying before, of being the next Tim Kennedy, or fucking Ranger Rick, G.I. Joe, you name it, whatever it is, right? But they see the work, the sacrifice, the commitment that's required.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it comes from treating this like a noble warrior job to they're treating you like a fucking high school football team. And you ain't even playing on Fridays. What you're doing is you're gaining what do they say now? You're gaining the clout from it. You're repping the jersey, but you're not even making the field. Yeah. And you're not even trying to beat out that junior, that senior. You're not even trying to get scouts to look your way, because you look at you just being there like, oh, I made it. Like, I go to practices. Like, you don't go to practices. You're on the scout team and you're getting the shit kicked out of you by the 235-pound running back who's going to Penn State.
You exist.
You exist. Exactly, right?
You exist.
Like, if you're going into something, that, like, is your job or profession or is supposedly your passion, and you're just existing and you're fine with that, like, you wake up every day and you're like, oh, I just got to show up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hear the saying, like, oh, showing us 50% of it, right? Or, like, 90% of it.
Perhaps fuck no, dude.
It is, but, like, guess what? All right, say showing up is 50% of it. Break up that rest of the 50% and 1%.
How dense is that other 50%? Is what we're.
It's fucking.
It's super fucking.
It's super fucking dense, and it's split up in 1% intervals. Yeah. And each 1% interval is just as detrimental and treacherous as that full 50% of just showing up. Yeah. Right. I think that's a fair way to put it.
No, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
And I think a lot of people they can't handle that. That's why they settle, because they're like, oh, I'm here. Like, it's fine.
It gets too hard. I don't want to push myself anymore.
Yeah. They see, in the military, they see their leaders, get awarded things, pass schools, gain chest candy, they see their leaders have been on deployments. They came from other higher tier units or other branches of the military. And they look at that and they're just like, oh, well, at least I can say I served with a guy like that. Like, what, dude?
Why don't you want to try to be that?
Yeah.
Now I get it. If you have different goals and aspirations, awesome. More power to you. I like it. But it brings it back. Again, I don't want to try to just keep talking about the military thing, but that's whenever you're in it. Well, it is, unfortunately. Yeah. Whenever you're in it, be in it. Like, you're all in. Like, just dude, you're getting paid to work out. You're getting paid to like you were saying earlier before we started this. I'm getting paid to do stuff people pay a lot of money to do.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Dude, we shoot hundreds of rounds.
Thousands, dude.
Thousands.
That's not the hundreds. Hundreds is easy. I'll do that on my civilian time in a day.
But thousands of rounds. Thousands of rounds. Think about like a combat arms unit, like in the infantry at any unit. They order thousands, tens of thousands of rounds for one day.
Yeah.
One day of shooting. You know how you're talking 7.62. Yeah. I don't know how much 7.62 is going right now.
Those are expensive.
Yeah,
the rounds we shoot are expensive.
Yeah, it's all expensive.
It's just life's expensive.
You know, think about handguns, right? You got your Glock, your SIGs, your all of it. You go to the handgun range, right? 9mm is expensive.
Yeah.
Right? We're shooting. We just what was it? Last week? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We shot hundreds of rounds of it.
And you get the people that are like, oh, this is like a chore for me. Oh, it's a range day. We're at it's a chore. I'm like, this is the cool part, dude. This is the stuff that you signed up to get good at, and to play and to have this. Yeah. This is what we're doing now. As per the DoD, we're not playing whenever we're doing these, but
training how to fight.
Training, yeah. We're playing. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, in all reality, though, and what we're saying here, and if you're a guy in the military listening, I think this is great advice. When you're out there, right, and you go through all the shitty days, and you're feeling like you're in that fixed mindset, and you're stagnant, and you're looking at everything you're doing stupid jobs and tasks that have nothing to do with the reason you signed up for, stuff like that, right? I think if you go out to a range, if you go out to the field, and you're not excited, you're not pumped up, you're not like kind of looking at it and the little cliche saying of embracing the suck, but like loving it at the end and like looking back on it and being like, man, that was really cool, right? I've been down to the Joint Readiness Training Center 3 times in the past 2 years.
Yeah,
it sucks.
It sucks. That place sucks.
If you're listening from Louisiana, I hate your state. That place, at least that part of the state, and by Alexandria, dude, that place is awful. That's the devil's fucking dude. It's bad. But I look back on every experience I had there, and I have something positive to take away from it. Like, man, I learned
about it. We're still talking about it.
Like, the fact that I'm even bringing it up means that like I gained something. But okay. Anyway, my point of all of that, if you're not pumped up, ready to go, and you look, and then after you go through it, you reflect on your ranges, your training, and things like that. And you're not like, man, that was worth it. Mm-hmm. Like all that other bullshit I had to do and like the people I had to deal with, because obviously the Army, any branch of the military is the most ultimate cultural melting pot ever. Yeah. Right? And you got to deal with people from all walks of life. And not reflecting any view on the DoD, but you're not going to come across, not everybody in the military is some solid, awesome, man or woman. Yep. If you get through all the bullshit, and then you get to do what you actually signed up to do, and it's fun. You're playing, right?
It's something that I've told people too, because it makes sense. Like I told my parents this when we were on I call them every weekend, and they're like, "So you're, it was just one of those heart to hearts that your parents are always having." So like, "So you love your job?" I said, "I love my job." So that means you have, and obviously, whenever you say that, like people go, "Oh, you have more good days than bad days." And my answer to that question is actually no. I have more bad days than good days. But my good days are so much better than the bad days. 100%. And I love my good days, dude. That is the thing. You give me one good day and 10 bad days, that one good day wipes away the 10. Oh, hell now, it doesn't mean I didn't forget about the bad days.
And then sometimes, like, you get those weeks where, like, dude, you're on fire. You're going to, I mean, what was it, last week? 2 weeks ago? Man, freaking jumped. Yep. We went to an M17. Like, we're doing all these. We're working out every day, jumping out of airplanes, going to different ranges, shooting guns. Like, busy. You say that to anybody else who's not in the military, but they like the vibe of it and everything. They like shooting guns. They like seeing like great. They like extreme sports, like skydiving and things like that. Again, it's not the same thing. No. But they look at that and they're like, dude, that's fucking awesome.
He said, yeah, but there's 51 other weeks in the year.
Yeah. Exactly. You're not gonna always get all of them, but outside of the military, right? You're gonna get the same things. Yeah. Right? You're gonna get those weeks if you're an athlete where like you are just like, say you're a college athlete and you're in summer conditioning, right? Mm-hmm. Heat acclimation week, things like that, right? Yeah. and you're in like the two-a-days,
Fun.
and you're just like, man, this sucks. But then Friday night hits.
Yeah, I was gonna say game day. Yeah, game day hits.
Right?
Everybody wants game day. Nobody wants practice.
Right. But guess what? If you're never gonna be them. So here's the thing, and this goes for any, any field, any walk of life. If you're a white collar worker, if you're an athlete, if you're in the military, in the military, our game day is our training exercises, the big ones. That's game day, right? Our competitions are game day, right? For an athlete, game day is game day.
Yep.
And if you're, white collar worker, say you're a salesman, right? When you're, working all the details out all week, all the finances and everything, and then finally you're driving out to go give your sales pitch, to go seal that fucking deal, right? That's game day, right? You don't show up for practice in all realms, in running on the track, hitting the weight room, hitting the books, doing your research, making your phone calls, crunching numbers. You're not showing up for that, but like you pull it out of your ass on game day and you succeed, it's only going to get you so far. But in most cases, if you're not showing up for all that, your game days are not going to go well, and you're going to lose that fire. You're going to lose that touch. You're going to lose that passion.
Yep. No, I'm 1,000% agreeing with you on that one.
I mean, I think it's clear because I've come across in many walks of life people like that, and it drives me nuts. So I'm like, dude, like it's just a simple shit. It's like you got to put in the work, right? And I think people look at obviously like people can find like what we're talking about, like motivational, right? Or eye-opening things to them, right? And they kind of hear it and they think like, oh, that's corny, that's cliche, that's whack or whatever. And I hate that, like,
but it works.
But yeah, that's what I mean. But like it works.
And if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, like it works. That's why like you hear the same people say the same shit all the time. CEOs, professional athletes.
Well, then if you want to go philosophical on it, the truth is simple. Realistically, let's be real here. Like, oh man, I really want that. Okay, work for it. Nah, that can't be it. No, that's it, dude. That's legitimately. Now, obviously, there's circumstances in life that things might go against that, like just natural disasters and acts of God type of stuff. In a very, to just put a blanket over it so that I'm not being quoted like, Jimmy just said that anything is possible. No, I mean, this is where we went unrealistic and realistic expectations of things. Yeah. But if you want something, just do it. Just work for it.
Yeah. 100%.
And ready, if it didn't work out, well then it's one of those. All right, cool. I'm a firm believer. Then it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
Like, at least it wasn't meant to be at that time, or it's not meant to be in general.
Or if it didn't mean to be at that time, try again. But the whole thing about
growth mindset,
growth mindset,
what you've been
learned, right? Like, if you failed at something, be like, oh, maybe I should have studied that more. Yep. Maybe I should have learned from that guy above me, and what he's doing actually buy into that, right? Maybe I should have went an extra rep, extra mile. Maybe instead of going up 15 pounds, I should have added a 2.5.
Wow.
That's it, brother. But man, thank you so much for coming on tonight, dude. I'd love having you. We'll definitely have you on again. I know you got some buddies in mind, and we got some some friends of ours that I would love to have everybody on here.
Absolutely.
Shoot this shit, brother. But thank you.